So basically today is a review of what we've learned the past 2 days over simple and compound interest. It says, what is the simple interest formula? What is it? If you had your star chart out, you would know. I equals PRT. Write it down. You're going to need this. Now, this is the most important question. What does the simple interest solve for? Interest or total amount? Look at what it says. I equals means it solves for interest. Now let's talk about yesterday's formula. What is the compound interest formula? Go to your star chart. A equals P, open parentheses, 1 plus R, close parentheses, to the T power. These formulas are not the same. What does the compound interest formula solve for? Interest or total amount? Total amount. Do you see that these formulas are opposite of each other? Simple interest solves for interest. Compound interest solves for... Okay, so let's talk about, some of us aren't paying attention. Let's talk about what if it asks for interest, what are you going to do? So look at this one. For simple interest, if it asks for interest, then you just use the formula, yes? This is going to be your answer. What if it asks for total amount? You take your answer and add back the starting amount, and that will give you the total. Are y'all with me? On simple interest, it solves for interest. If you want the total, you have to add back in the starting amount. On the other hand, compound interest solves for what? So I'm going to put that right here. It solves for total amount. That is what this formula is going to give you. So if you have a question and it asks for interest, you're going to take your answer and do what? Subtract the starting amount. And that will give you the interest. So these two things right here tell you what to do for every problem. You just have to read what it's asking you for. Okay, I'm going to say it again. Simple interest solves for interest. If it asks for total amount, you use the formula, add back your starting amount, it gives you the total. Compound interest solves for total amount. So if it asks for interest, then you have to subtract out the starting amount. All right, let's do some examples, and then you will be on your own. So everybody look at example 1. You invest $3,200 at 4.2% interest, and then where's this clue word right here? So that tells me which formula am I going to use? Compound. What will be the account balance at the end of 5 years? All right, so here we go. The first thing I got to do is decide what formula am I using. It said compound, so I'm going to write this formula. A equals P, open parentheses, 1 plus R to the T power. Now, before you do anything, ask yourself, what does this formula solve for? Total amount. Now find the question. What will be the account balance? Does account balance mean total amount or does it mean interest? Total. Guys, your account balance. What's in your bank account right now? What am I asking? What is the total in your bank account? Okay, so this means total. So does this formula give me that answer? Yes, so I don't need to do anything but the formula. So here I go. P, $3,200, 1 plus, what do I have to do to this rate? Change it to a decimal by putting it over. All right, so I have 4.2 over 100, which is 0.042. And how many years are we talking? 5. So I type it in, and that's my answer. 3,200, 1 plus. $3,930 and 80 what? 87 cents is my answer. I didn't have to do anything extra because the formula solved for what it was asking for. Do y'all understand that? All right, let's look at the next question. You invest $5,000 at 6% interest, compounded annually. How much interest will you earn at the end of 4 years? So the first thing I'm going to do is write the formula down for this. Which one am I using? Compound. So write the formula down. I should see everybody writing. Now, before I start, I'm going to ask myself, does this formula solve for what the question's asking for? What does the question say? How much interest? Does this formula solve for interest? No. No, so I go back up here and I say, if I need interest, I'm going to have to use the formula and then subtract. Okay, so let's go use the formula. 5,000, 1 plus, I got to change this to a what? By putting it over 100, which is 0.06 to the 4th power. Which is $6,312.38. That is not my answer. That is the total account balance. Notice I didn't box it in because that is not my answer. So how am I going to get the interest? I'm going to take this number, 6312.38, and I'm going to subtract the amount I started with, which was 5,000. $1,312.38. That is the interest. Okay, let's read the next one. Are we ready, or y'all need a little bit more time? We're ready? All right, look at the next one. A student invests $2,500 at 5%. What does this say? Simple interest. How much interest will be in the account? How much interest will the student make at the end of 3 years? All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is write down the formula for simple interest. So which one is it? I equals PRT. What does this formula solve for? Interest. Is that what the question's asking for? Yes, so all I have to do is P times R times T, and I have my answer. So P, 2,500, times R, 0.05, times T, which is 3. And that's going to be my answer. $375. I do not have to go any further because it's solved for interest. Okay, last question. Sarah invests $5,200 at 3.25% interest. Did it say compound or simple? If it doesn't specify, it means simple. Okay, they will always specify if it's compound. So if it doesn't specify, it is simple. How much money will she have in her account at the end of 4 years? All right, so here we go. Simple interest. I equals PRT. Before you start, you need to ask yourself, what does this formula solve for? Interest. Now read the question. How much money will she have in her account? Are they asking for interest or total? So I need total. Is this going to give me that? No. So I'm going to have to go back up here and say, hey, to get the total, I'm going to have to add. So here we go. P, 5,200 times R, 0.0325 times time, which is 4. $676. That is not going to be her how much money she has in her account. She started with $5,200. She doesn't touch it for 4 years. She better come back and have $5,200 in her account, right? Plus the interest she made. So I'm going to take this amount and I'm going to add it to the amount she had in there originally, which is $5,876. So your job today, you're going to have to read the question, write the formula down that you need to use, and ask yourself, what does this formula give me? And is it going to give me the answer it's asking for? Okay? Your assignment is in the Google Classroom. You may go ahead and log in.